Payment orchestration's easiest way to imagine it is the conductor at the front of an orchestra pointing his stick or whatever, wand or whatever it's called, and directing things into different places. And in our case, that's payments. So in a very unsexy side of it, payments orchestration is a great big router for routing payments, or router as you call it in the US, for routing payments to where they need to go. But underneath that is a subset of a variety of other things, including optimization or payment optimization. So how do you get the most out of your payment methods? Are you getting the best auth rates? Are you getting the cheapest rate for processing that payment, if that's something you care about? And are you dealing with local issues around how at least cards are processed? That's just optimization. And around that is acceptance. It's also a part of orchestration, and acceptance is how are you accepting a variety of different types of payment methods, whether that's buy now, pay later, cryptocurrency, wallets, open banking, etc. How are you accepting that? So again, that's part of orchestration. And then you go on to, how are you consolidating reporting? How is this working across your different infrastructure providers? How are you maintaining uptime, redundancy? All these fall under like a big umbrella of payment orchestration. So there'll be a lot of companies out there who, say they're orchestrators and they're doing one of those many different things. In our view, a true payments orchestrator does all of those. So it offers a platform that allows you to really optimize, manage and get the best out of all of the different payment types that you're offering. The truth is most merchants already are doing payment orchestration to some degree, and even like having one PSP in probably doesn't answer everything you need. You might have one PSP and PayPal at the very minimum, or you might be offering a local bank solution. But essentially, it's not linear, right? So you have X amount of engineers that do your first install of a payment provider, and then you add another one, and adding another one isn't twice as much work. It's actually 2.5 to 3 times as much work, because now you have to make sure the two work together. And then you're constantly dealing with changes or upgrades that happen to those payment services. And the more you have, exponentially higher the amount of level goes. So yes, very, very big merchants often have very, very large payment teams. And that really, it just keeps on growing and growing and growing. And I think if you look through it, most merchants out there are using tools out there. And really what we're offering is a tool that allows you to do that quicker, without having to constantly expand that engineering team who are essentially building the same solution as your competitors or even your peers in the same space, but gives you the flexibility to move just a lot faster. That's the first thing. The second thing is really experimentation. So, I'll give you an example around Bitcoin, for example. So lots of conversations with merchants like, I wonder what would happen if we add Bitcoin to our payment stack, but no one's going to invest 8 months in integrating something that might or might not work. By adding an orchestration platform in, that allows you to basically test it. So you can roll it out in a sort of 5-minute integration timeline using sort of our no-code middleware. You can test it on half your clients. You can see if it's adopted. You can see how it works, and then you can make a decision about whether to keep it or literally just go back in and switch it off again. And that ability to experiment payments hopefully will accelerate the whole environment around payments, because the latest stat is it takes on average 8 months to integrate a new payment service provider, which is a huge amount of engineering resources, especially if you're not 100% of the cost savings or benefits you'll get from it. I think that looking at other payment types than credit cards is going to get even more important during the coming year. And I know credit debit cards are very important in the US. There's two things to there, right? The first thing is routing debit cards through debit networks. So I know it hasn't been you haven't been able to do it in the US, and it's been incredibly difficult. But that, with the changings of the laws out here and the ability to do pinless debit through online, you need to have a platform that's able to help you with that. So being able to route debit cards to debit networks and fall back on other things, that's going to save huge amount of money on your interchange, your cost savings, etc. And that's something that's been used in other parts of the world very successfully and should be used more here. I think what we're seeing is also the adoption of other payment types for a particular consumer basis. So, wallets aren't that huge in the US. I think you've got, Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal are kind of the three in the US, but we're seeing that growing. That's growing like 25% year on year of new additional wallets coming into the market. They are gaining market share, being able to support that and frankly support your customers. So look, there's some scary stats around Gen Z, right? They spend more online shopping than they do on entertainment and going out with their friends, which is very different from my generation. And then moving on from there, like 60% of Gen Z don't have bank accounts, right? That's huge. That's more, obviously it's more than half, but it's a massive amount that they just don't have a bank account, which means they don't have a card. But yet 50% of Gen Z globally have at least one payment app. So whether that's a Venmo in the US or something else in different parts of the world. So just paying attention to that and opening up the payment options that you're offering will allow you to grow and accept new customers coming on board. I think other lessons that we're seeing internationally is the rise of the real-time payments. So open banking, as we call it here, it's called something different in Australia. But the benefits of that to the merchant to be able to drive down costs are pretty massive. Obviously, no chargebacks, a variety of different advantages for a merchant. And the barrier has always been the user experience, frankly, that, is this going to be much harder than clicking on an Apple Pay button? Is this going to be harder than typing in a credit card number, etc.? And what you're starting to see, like in India, we've seen the credit card pretty much be wiped out, right? And everyone is using UPI to pay for things, or TERS, or one of the other wallets. We're starting to see that slowly taking up or being picked up in Europe. User experience is great. Actually, it's very simple for you to make an open banking payment for an item. Where we see huge success is when merchants incentivize the consumer to pay in this new way. So rather than just hoping everybody will use open banking, we've seen acceptance rates go up like tenfold the minute you start offering an incentive. And that incentive could be cashback, the incentive could be loyalty points, vouchers, money off. All of those things allow you to preference that type of payment option to the consumer, give them a benefit for using it. And then we see consumers are willing to step away from what they got to the new payment types. They're less attractive, they care less about the loyalty, and they care, especially if the loyalty that you're providing is higher than what they would get, perhaps some loyalty points from their credit card.